As the immigration crackdown intensifies, a federal judge has ruled that U.S. President Donald Trump acted unlawfully when he deployed the National Guard in California. Judge Charles Breyer said Trump violated the 150-year-old Posse Comitatus Act, which restricts the military's role in domestic law enforcement. The Trump legal team, on the other hand, insisted that the law does not apply here and is preparing to appeal the case to higher courts, which could reach the Ninth Circuit and even the Supreme Court. The ruling stems from Trump's decision to federalize about 4,000 National Guard troops to support immigration raids in the state. Governor Gavin Newsom strongly objected to the move, calling it an overreach of presidential power and a violation of state rights. Although most troops were later withdrawn, California argued that 300 remaining soldiers still constituted a significant violation. Breyer's decision could have nationwide implications as Trump threatens similar deployments in other Democratic-led cities.
Are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it.
What is the purpose of your meetings at Camp David over the next 24
We're
hours?
going up to Camp David. We have meetings with various people about very major subjects. Now, we thought we'd do it at Camp David. There's probably better security there than any place. We'll be meeting with a lot of people, including generals, as you know, and admirals. No. So we'll be meeting with military people and others.
Will there be any foreign visitors at Camp David?
Even if you don't plan to invoke the Insurrection Act, do you plan to send troops to Los Angeles?
What?
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
What is the bar for sending Marines to
the bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Second actors to leave on the table, sir. Secretary has
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Mr. President, do you foresee those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
Protests, we're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit, and worse, you know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
What are the rules of engagement for federal troops?
We'll see what happens. If we think there's a serious insurrection or less than that, we're going to have law and order. Very important.
How would you define an insurrection?
You have to really just have to look at the site. You have to see what's happening. Last night in Los Angeles, we watched it very closely. There was a lot of violence there. There was a lot of violence, and it could have gotten much worse. And you have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train stations that he's building. Like 20 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So I did call him the other night. I said, look, you got to take care of this. Otherwise, I'm sending in the troops.
In the outset, Texas only reminds us this notion that we're many parts and one body. Final point. What a disgrace what's happening in MacArthur Park. What theater. On the 6-month anniversary, after all, of these fires. That's the message from the polluted heart of the President of the United States. The polluted heart of Stephen Miller. Those National Guard men and women that were out there protecting people are now being used as political pawns. Out there on horsebacks running through soccer fields in the middle of the day. Timed around announcements and events like this. It says everything you and I need to know about the state of mind of the President of the United States in this administration. So to those that feel torn asunder by everything that's happened over the course of the last 6 months, notably highlighted and reinforced last 6 weeks and over the course of the last 60 minutes and day like today, I want folks to know we have your back and we'll continue to come back and do what we can to protect our diverse communities, to protect the spirit that defines the best of this city and our state, and to push back against this cruelty. To push back against this cruelty that is being perpetuated by the President of the United States. With that, happy to answer any questions.
What is the linkage? You didn't mention it in your talk earlier, but the senator did, the House members did, the linkage between the recovery in Pasadena and in the Palisades and the immigration rates. I mean, the mayor was supposed to be here, but ended up in MacArthur Park.
Well, look, you got estimated 41% of our workforce in the construction side, and that's a unique California stat. We're much higher. Texas and California have the two highest percentage of people without documentation, immigrants working in our constructions unions and trades, people that are also not in the unions and trades. And so it's foundational to our recovery for him to, intentionally do what he did today. They know what they're doing. And then again, they have no idea what they're doing. And their ignorance is legendary. And the impacts of this will be felt in the recovery. And that's on them. Donald Trump owns that. He owns the cruelty. He owns the arrogance, not just the ignorance. It's by definition weakness. Only a weak person puts on a show like that with horses and bringing the National Guard that should be out there raking his forests. Rick Grinnell, his so-called czar, had the audacity today to attack this state on this anniversary for not raking its forest when we have a federal forest fire over 80,000 acres on Donald Trump's forest that these folks behind me are managing. California is an instant command leader on that. That has provided 30% of that fire to now be contained.
Governor, the Border Patrol Chief, Gregory Bovino, said to Fox, "I don't work for Karen Bass. Better get used to us now because this is going to be normal very soon. We will go anywhere, anytime we want in Los Angeles."
Tough guy.
What's your response?
Tough guy. He does work for us. He may want to check his pay stub. He's a public servant. We're taxpayers. He works for the people of the United States of America, and he has a constitutional obligation in that respect. So, with all due respect to him, he better do a better job.
Do you think Republicans are going to give you the money that you're asking for if this conflict...
We're all in this together. I'm going to South Carolina. I think they should get every penny of what they need. North Carolina should get every penny of what they need. Proud to be there in Louisiana in Speaker Johnson's old district. He should have gotten every penny that they received, every penny that they need, every resource that we can provide, including resources from the state that we offered early Friday morning to Greg Abbott. We should provide. That's the spirit that defines the best of this country, our nation, that's about to celebrate its 250th anniversary. Absolutely, I expect that we will figure out a path, a bipartisan path to support the people of the United States of America, and those include the 40 million Americans residing in California.
Governor, the immigration rates, a lot of people have told me, people who have family members who've been disappeared is the term they're using.
That's the right term.
They say that they feel like the sanctuary state policies and sanctuary city policies failed them. So, two questions. Is there anything the state can do to prevent what is happening, like today at MacArthur Park, or other raids that happen where people are taken? Like today, I don't think we have reports that anybody was detained.
Yeah, which only reinforces the theater, the spectacle, the cruelty, the weakness expressed by the very statement of the border czar that apparently wasn't able to find an arrest. How weak, how weak, how pathetic, how cruel. As it relates to the sanctuary policies, they're limited in their scope and effectiveness. LA's sanctuary policy is different than San Diego's, different than San Francisco's, different than Fresno's. The state, altogether different. As you know, the state of California has cooperated as it relates to the transfer of criminals, people that are lifers coming out of the state system, over 11,000 people. Just since I've been governor, I've coordinated with ICE. This is not about going after dangerous criminals. This is about going after members of our community that have been here 10, 20, 30 years. This is about destroying the fabric of this state. It's about taking this state down. That's what this is about. It's intentional. And it is cruel. It's increasingly inhumane. And it's increasingly become a spectacle. And it's become theater. But real people's lives are being impacted. And so we'll continue to do what we can through our network, our response, rapid response network, to your question. We'll continue to do what we can to support people's legal rights, their due process under the Constitution of the United States. We continue to file lawsuits and continue to win those lawsuits. There is at least one other branch of government operating. And it is certainly not the legislature. It's not Congress. They have given up that role and responsibility. Speaker Johnson has abdicated that. But the courts still remain. And that will be a pathway for us to do more. But the rapid response networks, community, nonprofits, leaders well established in the state become foundational in terms of protecting our communities and supporting people at a time where they're feeling terrorized by these cruel antics and theatrics in the middle of a soccer field with horses.
Governor,
how pathetic.